Don't miss our first look at the rest of Wave 10 X-Wing ships coming in hot. Spiky bits. Alright, welcome back X-Wing Maniacs. Robbie B with you once again today with some awesome first looks at the last three ships out of Wave 10. Of course, these aren't Rogue One ships. Well, I guess one of them technically is kind of a Episode 7 one, but they're not as recent, movie-wise, as Rogue One, which is probably why the other two ships came out first, I would imagine. A lot of haters out there, they're like, why don't we have all our ships? You know, it is what it is, but what is curious is that these three ships have something new called condition cards. So I'm almost wondering if FFG did that on purpose and put out the last three ships, all with condition cards. Maybe, I don't know, to break things up a little bit. I'm not exactly sure. But now we're in a new season of play, basically. So it's the first of the year-ish. And it's time to take a closer look at these bad boys. Now, first up, we got two smaller expansions. Sabine's TIE Fighter and the Quad Jumper. We'll take a look at Sabine's first because this is a really interesting ship. It's a rebel ship of a Imperial fighter with illicit upgrades, which is really interesting in and of itself. I have to scold the cat here real quick. Okay, and we're back. So it's a really interesting ship just because of the way that, I guess, the upgrades go. So I'm sure you've been tracking a lot of the things that are going on with this ship, with all the previews and things, but FFG always likes to leave a little bit towards the end, I feel like, you know. So they're like, well, we'll leave a little surprise in there, which I feel like in this regard was Captain Rex. Because I didn't know Captain Rex was coming in here. And I was like, oh, sweet, the old man. So here's the TIE Fighter itself with, of course, the little artsy inside of Sabine. Kind of type deal, which is great for FFG because they basically used an existing mold and just did a little bit more stuff on the inside there, which I think is fantastic looking and very true to the show. I mean, Disney loves Rebels, and I'm sure this is not the last Rebel incarnation of a ship we're going to see. And speaking of Rebels, there's a few of Sabine's fellow crew peeps in here, and another special guest, too, that we're going to get to here in a second. As soon as I pull all these cards out, gosh. I swear these things were packed by robots. Alright, so first up, we've got the cards themselves, so you already know who's coming in here. Ahsoka's coming. Sabine, and on the back, we've got Captain Rex and Zeb himself. So there's Zeb's pilot. Booyah. And then over here, we've got the maneuver dial, which is pretty standard for a TIE, you know, a non-FO TIE, I suppose. Great maneuvers everywhere, and of course, you know, not so much on the ones, but it does have a 5, which is cool. And then the little turnarounds, the K-turns there, the 4 and a 3. Now, as far as upgrades go, really interesting stuff. So let's take a look first at the pilot abilities, because I like doing the pilots first, and then let's do the upgrades first, because sometimes the upgrades are better. So let's zoom in on this one for y'all. Of course, you see Veteran Instincts there. Nothing too new about that one, right? Oh, and if you're wondering about the playmat, this is the playmat I generally do all our unboxings on, whether they're tabletop miniatures, hobby stuff, or X-Wing itself. It is an X-Wing mat from GameMat.eu. They're a great company out of Eastern Europe, and they actually ship quicker than a lot of the stuff from California I've ordered in the past. So if you're looking for a great Star Wars mat, and they have like 2-part mats and things like that that go together for Armada, you might want to check them out. They have great deals all the time, some great promos, and some really fresh. I think there's 3 different X-Wing mats, and I think there's an Armada mat that the two sections go together, which is pretty neat. So Veteran Instincts, enough said right there. Then we've got a Captain Rex, Rebel only crew member. If you perform an attack that does not hit, you may assign 1 focus token to your ship. Okay, that's fair for 2. I can see that. I like EMP device, of course. It's got that dot there, and we all know what that means. Same with Captured TIE. But here's the cool deal about it. Well, obviously, they don't want ships flying around with a ton of these on it, right? During the combat phase, you basically get to discard this to assign 2 ion tokens to each ship at range 1. And I'm like, what? So you get to straight, like, even if it's a large ship, you're just like, well, I guess you're going 1 straight, buddy. And that can really dictate the tides of battle or make somebody fly off the table that they weren't expecting it. It's just kind of random, and for 2 points, I think it's kind of neat. Not sure where I'll fall in competitive play, but this is my style of play is get in your face and be obnoxious. I don't know if that's an actual style of play, but that's how I play X-Wing. It seems to turn out okay for me. Capture Tide, this is also a really interesting one. We're going to see it when we look at the pilots, is this basically makes it so that anything with a lower pilot skill cannot target you or declare you as a target of attack, I think it is. Yes, or after you perform an attack, when you are the only remaining friendly ship, discard this card, which, I mean, of course they're going to shoot you at that point, right? But for 1 point, if you have stuff that really starts to get up there, and of course Veteran Instincts is not in here by chance, then it really gives you an idea of what they're trying to do here. So basically, it's like they don't know I don't know it's TIE. I don't know if I want to shoot it, but yes, it can only go on TIE Fighter, and yes, it can only go on Rebel. So it's only restricted to one of these 4 pilots currently that are Rebel TIE Fighters. But in the future, I could see this being a lot huger. Now, we'll get to that more on that in a second. Suppressive fire when attacking a ship other than Captain Rex, roll 1 fewer dice. If you declare an attack targeting Captain Rex, or when Captain Rex is destroyed, remove this card. At the end of the combat phase, if he did not attack, you must discard this card. Now, these are the new condition cards, and I didn't cover that real quick, but basically, it's kind of a if that, then this. Like, if you trigger a condition card, you're supposed to put the condition token down next to the enemy ship that it pertains to, and then you resolve this. And when it's done, it goes away. Some go away at the end of the phase, some go away at the end of the game, some go away when he doesn't attack, and different things like that. And that, I think, is triggered by his TIE Fighter pilot skill as well. So we'll see that here in a second, but just keep that in mind. This is something that comes and goes. The same with how it works with Kylo Ren, and the Quad Jumper has one as well, but that just kind of is a stay and play until that ship is destroyed kind of type thing. Sabine's Masterpiece, your upgrade bar gains the crew and the illicit upgrade slot for 1 point. Not too shabby for a title, I feel like. But of course, it is restricted, and it's TIE Fighter only, Rebel only, and title. So there you go. Your options are limited. And here's the pilots themselves. And there's Ahsoka, of course, Anakin Skywalker's Padawan learner and frequent guest on the Disney Rebel show. We got Zeb. When defending, you may cancel criticals before explosions. That's just the normal 3. This is your normal run-of-the-mill TIE Fighter for the most part. Well, all of them are, except for these have EPT slots right here, which are very noteworthy because now you can start doing silly stuff like taking your Veteran Instincts, adjusting that up, and then taking your title, your or modification rather, and starting to make these untargetable by enemy fighters. So now you can start having this little crazy little fleet. So I feel like we might see that here in the future. Now there's no generic version of these. It's all like some sort of named pilot, which doesn't actually kind of matter because they're low enough points that it doesn't. I'm not fazed by it personally. Captain Rex, like I said, after you perform an attack, you assign a suppressive fire condition token to the defender, or a condition card to the defender, which we just talked about. And then Sabine herself, immediately when revealing your maneuver, you may perform a free boost or barrel roll action. I love it. That reminds me of some dirty tricks I used to do with the B-Wing. We all know how I feel about the B-Wing. I think it's the best fighter in the history of ever. Competitive X-Wing play will probably disagree with me, but it's just my favorite. I don't know why. It is what it is. And then Ahsoka, at the start of combat phase, you may spend 1 focus to choose a friendly ship at range 1, and it may perform a free action. So lots of free actions here, lots of free advanced sensors, so to speak, and well, I guess this is more of an advanced sensor. This is just a free action, like a free push the limit kind of type deal with no detraction there. So that's Sabine's pretty cool, nifty little graffitied TIE Fighter card. I'm really digging that one myself. That's definitely one of my favorites. I'm not sure how it's going to shake up the kind of competitive play there, but she's neat. Now, something that I do think will shake up competitive play is the Quad Jumper. This is my style of play. This is get in your face. Don't be where I want to be. Basically, be a nuisance. Don't encourage me. I'm going to get in your way. And this little puppy does all sorts of things. And it's funny because we see this in episode 7, like when Finn and Rey are running, and they're like, don't take the garbage, and they start to run to this thing, and then the TIEs like blow it up, and they leave the Falcon there, right? And they're like, all right, go to the garbage. But this is the one that was on that landing pad, right? When they say that, right? So here is the Quad Jumper, one of the newest, niftiest ships for X-Wing, of course. Now, it doesn't look like much, but just like the Falcon, it's got it where it counts. All right, let's take a closer look at it. So there's the design of it. It's very well detailed, of course, all the styling and everything. It's even got a racing stripe on it. Woo! Going fast. I want to go fast. I want to go fast. And there's the back. Now, it's hard to tell which way is the front, which way is the back. Obviously, the cockpit's the front, but when you start flying this thing around, you're going to be questioning yourself sometimes too. I feel like which way is the front, which way is the back? Because this little bad boy, oh, here, let me give you a closer look at Sabine's TIE Fighter 2. There you go. It's got that super graffiti in there, which would be hard to do as a mod, but I think we featured a couple of them online already at this point doing that. So, now, the Quad Jumper has so many rules. I don't want to waste a whole lot of time talking about it, but I super love this ship. So first off, he's got ridiculous amounts of maneuvers. So here, it doesn't look like it's maneuverable, but it really is. It's got this this isn't a musical note, this is actually a reverse. The very first reverse maneuver in X-Wing. Of course, it's got the salute, then it's got some 3s. Its sweet spot is 2s for sure, but it's got that Type 1 for free, which I'm a fan of. Tractor beam tokens, we're going to talk more about that. And then here's the cards and such, and a thermal detonator token, and then there's your condition, your specific condition token as well that comes in here, which all of them are different. It just depends on which one comes with it, okay? So you're supposed to put that down next to the enemy ship when you trigger, just for reminders for everybody. Alright, let's take a look at the upgrades for this bad boy. So we've got a Score to Settle, Bowshek, which was just recently revealed over on FFG site, thermal detonators, which we've seen in the past, hyperwave scanner, which also comes with the Upsilon. I'm going to call it the Upsilon because it's got a U. I know what it's supposed to be, but I'm going to call it something different because I'm special. A Score to Settle, when during setup, place let's start over. During setup, before the place forces step, choose one enemy ship and assign the Adept to Pay condition card to it. When attacking a ship that has a Adept to Pay condition, you may change one focus to one explosion, or one critical, excuse me. So this basically stays in play the whole time until I guess you kill that ship, basically. It's an EPT for 0. That's okay. I mean, you can put this on anything, literally. It's basically a free cash money in the bank critical, I feel like. So it's not too bad. And then we got Unkar Plut with his portioning out some crazy maneuvers here. After executing a maneuver that causes you to overlap an enemy ship, you may suffer 1 damage to perform 1 free action. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a push the limits, but you damage yourself. So it's situational for sure. Bowshek, we saw this one. This is really interesting. Whenever a ship you are touching activates, it may look at its choose a maneuver. Oh, you may. And if you do, your owner must rotate the dial to an adjacent maneuver. The ship can reveal and execute that maneuver while even stressed. So you can look at it, and if you find something better, you can mess with I like to call it messing with Vader's buttons. It's just going up to Vader and flipping the buttons on his chest. You don't know what's going to happen. He could start spraying gas everywhere. He could start talking like a robot. Who knows? Nobody's ever done it, but that's what I call it. That is messing with Vader's buttons right there, and I love it. Thermal detonator, just standard. We've seen that before. It's a bomb. It does bomb stuff. I like it, but it's 3, but it's dirty. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on it. It might be good in this one actually, and we'll see why here in a few. Hyperwave comm scanner, interesting card. So when you're setting up, I believe that's the place forces step. I haven't looked in the rulebook. I'm not going to dig it out. Feel free to correct us in the comments and talk amongst yourselves here. You get to set the ship's pilot skill value until the end of the step, which I don't understand here, and I don't have the time to do the research. I apologize, y'all. But the way this reads to me is you get to set the pilot skill value, so you can be for the rest of the game, right? You have that whole time to treat your pilot skill. Actually, I don't know. I'm torn on this card. I cannot process it in my brain right now. It's one of those late breaking ones that I just haven't put enough brain power at. But the cool thing about it is during setup, after another friendly ship is placed at range 1 to 2, you may assign a focus or evade token to it. So that right there might be enough, but I'm still not understanding these words up here. I can't tell if that means you get to set it and that is your pilot skill for the rest of the game, or if you just get to set it for then, to basically place them down, and that's what you're trying to do. Is you're trying to outweigh your enemy. You're trying to be like, all right, for the placement, I am 12, and I don't want you to know where I'm going to put the ship, kind of type thing. Maybe that's what it is. And again, apologies, didn't do the research on this one. That's just firing off the cuff. Correct us in the comments. Scavenger Crane, I like this one because after you do some dirty stuff, which we're going to get to here shortly, after another ship at range 1 to 2 is destroyed, you can choose something that you have discarded, either a proton, a rockets, a bomb, a heavy, a heavy laser or a heavy cannon, or a turret, or a modification even, that was equipped to your ship, and place it face up, then roll 1 attack die on a blank, discard the scavenging crane itself. So you can bomb people and maybe get the bombs back, or use your EMPs and get the EMP back. It seems really neat in theory, and for 2, I'm kind of digging it because, I mean, what else are you going to put at the illicit slot on these bad boys? And then we got the Spartacus, or the Space Tug, Tractor Array, the quad jumper only, of course. Choose a ship inside your firing arc at range 1 and assign a tractor beam token to it. If it is a friendly ship, resolve the effect of the tractor beam token as though it were an enemy ship. So obviously you're not going to want to do yourself dirty, but you could use it to get some stuff out of the way, or to shenanigans. Again, messing with Vader's buttons. I love messing with Vader's buttons. That is, if somebody's like, Rob, how do you fly X-Wing? Oh, yeah, I'm messing with Vader's buttons. People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dog, I just get in the way. I just do weird shit, and it just works. I don't know why. It's super wacky. So here we go. Here's the pilots. We got Constable. We got Sarko Plank. I don't know who that is. Just a Jacko Gunrunner. And of course, Unkar Plut. I think he was played by Simon Pegg in the movie, actually. Fun fact. Alright, so Constable, I like him because when you reveal a reverse maneuver, you may drop a bomb using your front guides, including a bomb with the action header. Booyah! So now you can do some dirty stuff. Not only can you go in reverse, which you do stress yourself, whatever, but you get to drop a bomb out your front guides. And remember, there's stuff like Bombardier that gives you that extra distance, which is really neat. And I mean, that's just dirty. Like, just the fact that you can go in reverse and people start having to like try to figure out where you might be or where you might go. And if this obviously if the situation presents itself, sometimes it might be more advantageous to go in reverse. You still got them in your front arcs to shoot. Maybe at range 1, then you have 3 shots with this. I mean, this isn't a bad ship at the points for the pilot skill. 5 shields. 5 hull only. So I feel like it's pretty decent all the way around. Then we've got Sarko Plank. When defending, instead of using your agility, you may roll a number of defense dice equal to the speed of the maneuver you executed this round. Well, that really only kind of comes into play if you do that 3 maneuver, and there's only 3 of them on the ship. So I'm not exactly sure how frequently that will come into play, but it's something to think about if there's a way to boost it somehow and actually have it stack. And then you just got your generic Gunrunner here for 15 points. And then you got Unkar, which I personally like. At the end of the activation phase, you must assign a tractor beam token to each ship you are touching. Oh, it just screams mess with Vader's buttons. I love it. I love messing with Vader's buttons, getting up in people's faces, making them run into you, and now you tractor beam them. That is so much fun, let me tell you. And not to mention the fact that you just, tractor beam, remember folks, tractor beam reduces your agility too. Like, it's not just that, oh, you get to move them. Like, it's a whole thing. So it helps the rest of your squad burn them down. So it's really important that you remember that, because a lot of people forget it. They're like, oh, well, I just like moved it. No, you give them a token, dog. Now they're -1 agility. And like, oh crap. So a lot of times it's hard to remember everything, right? All right, let's check out the very last ship. We saved the best for last. We're gonna go check out the Upsilon next. And like magic, a new ship appears. Dun dun dun. Here it is, the Upsilon. Actually, it's the Epsilon, but I want to call it the Upsilon because I don't know why they spelled it like that. I believe it's supposed to be an E, but I don't know anymore. Anyways, this has been the ship that a lot of folks out there are waiting for because it's a really good support vessel for the First Order. And of course, remember, you can play First Order as Imperials and yada yada yada. Same with the Rebels and Rebel Alliance and all that. But the cool thing about this is really the first time that it's made it possible to play just like a First Order only kind of faction, full-on faction by itself. Because you got all the ties and that's all cool and all, but this comes with some really cool upgrades. and things to really make it worth it. Like, you could take this and several first order ties and actually be pretty competitive, I feel like, these days, you know? So maybe we're looking at, gosh, can I get it out? Sheesh. Killing me here, Smalls. All right, so here it is. Of course, you know, it's got the bendies. Well, not too bendy, just moderate bendy from the movie itself. And there it is. It's got all the fantastic, just such an imposing ship, man. It really is. It's just like so angry. I don't know what the thing is with the aeronautical foils like this. What the difference is? This just looks more like a bird of prey kind of thing. But it's great. It's very fantastically well detailed. I know a lot of people. If you watch the channel here, we got a lot of folks that color their ships black in the Armada side, and this would be a great color scheme for that. It's just very, very muted tones, very imposing. I mean, black ships in space, right? Makes total sense. It makes no sense whatsoever, but I still like it. So there it is, the Upsilon. Dun dun dun. Now it comes with all sorts of upgrades and things. You get ship cards, 4 ship cards, 13 upgrade cards, 2 condition cards, and a partridge in a pear tree on the component list right there. But I think what most people will be talking about is the upgrade cards, of course, but just the fact that it's got Kylo in here, one of those fan favorites, I guess, sort of type deal. So here is the, hold on a second, of course you get all the cards, we don't really need to get all into that. You got your 2 condition tokens right there in case you pop those off. Where's the dial? Oh, there it is. So this ship is actually super maneuverable. Well, more maneuverable than most. So you've got your all stop 0, and then you've got your 1s, but it can do a 1 to the right, but not a 1, or excuse me, a 1 to the left, but not a 1 to the right. Excuse me, I messed all that up. They are red. the hard turns are red, but not so much in the 2. So your 2s is your sweet spot. Your 3s get a little not so much. Your 1s are great. I mean, this is obviously no Lambda class shuttle for sure. This thing is definitely more maneuverable. Of course, it costs more points. I think it's like 34 stock. So, you know, as far as that goes, you might want to be careful who you're putting the Emperor on, I suppose. But that being said, you could theoretically put it on this, I guess. It's a lot more maneuverable. But I feel like it's more points at the end of the day. All right, let's talk about pilots. Actually, let's do upgrade cards. Lots of upgrade cards here. So we've got the snapshot, and I don't know why it comes with 2. Well, let's zoom in a little bit. I don't know why it comes with 2, other than the fact that they actually expect you to take a lot of these snapshots on ships out there, which would make total sense because it's pretty good. It's definitely a you go before I go, and then I'm going to do something to you, and then I'm going to peace out. We talked about hyperwave comm scanner, but we got targeting synchronizer, ion projector. We've already seen that before on Bosk's Houndstooth. And Kylo Ren shuttle, and then 2 condition cards right there. So let's run them down. Snapshot. After an enemy executes a maneuver, you may perform this attack against that ship, which is great because if you're going to be on an arc during your activation, or you know something else might happen, well, this is really good. This is that predictability factor. This is also a little on the messing with Vader's button side, but this is more like using the Force to mess with Vader's button side. I feel like. Attack 1 ship. You cannot modify your attack dice and cannot attack again in space. Again, you're only probably going to use this if you're going to be bouncing out of arcs or expect to be somewhere else, or you know, doing something that's going to stress you, whatever. I don't know, or landing on an asteroid. It's situational, but it definitely has its uses. For an EPT with 2, I could see it being played. Kylo Ren, he's 3 to field. His only action is basically giving you the "I'll show you the dark side," which, a long story short, lets you go through the damage deck, grab something with a pilot title, put it on here, and then if they reveal a crit, if a crit gets through against whatever ship he's on, then you resolve the one with the pilot keyword instead of that critical. So no guessing, you already know, but you do it each time it's targeted. So it might get a little monotonous. You might have to shuffle your deck a lot, I guess. But then again, crits kind of suck in this game. You know, you're not going to get direct hit, I guess, right? Unless you blow through all your pilot ability cards, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of those in the deck. So it's 50-50 there. Then you got General Hux. Choose up to 3 friendly ships at range 1 to 2. Assign a focus to any of those ships and the Fanatical Devotion counter to one of them. Then receive 1 stress token. So he's 5. So this is like kind of like a broad spectrum shotgun kind of benefit for a lot of things. And the Fanatical of Devotion does not let you spend focus tokens when defending, but when attacking, if you spend it, if you spend a focus token to change all of your focus results to a hit, set aside that first, and that can't be canceled by defense dice, and you have to cancel explosion. Okay, so basically it's just trying to sneak it through, which I can understand. That's pretty cool. So you want to put that on something that deals a lot of damage output. But remember, these guys have no ass at that point. You can't use your focus to defend. It's all output all the time. So you want to be very careful and gear your lists around that. Operations Specialist, after a friendly ship at range 1 to 2, performs an attack that does not hit. You may assign 1 focus token to that ship, to a friendly ship at range 1 to 3 of the attacker. So basically they're attacking something, doesn't hit, then you can assign a focus token to something within 1 to 3 of that attacker. So if that attacker's here, your range is 1 to 3. It doesn't necessarily have to be back here. It can be over here or something like that. It's just one of those things. Kind of cool. Targeting Synchronizer, when a friendly ship at 1 to 2 is attacking a ship you have locked, the friendly ship treats the attack target lock header as just attack. If a game effect instructs the ship to spend the target lock, you may instead spend your target lock instead. So this is attack. So what it does is it allows the ship this is equipped on to target lock and everybody else to use that target lock but not have to spend the target lock. If the card instructs you as part of its ordnance package to discard the target lock, you can discard the target lock from the ship. So it's a little beneficial and super situational. You need to read your ordnance and any abilities out there that require the target lock to make sure you're going down the right path, because some of them say discard it and some of them don't. They just require you to have a target lock. Some require you to have focus, so want to make sure before you get these on the tabletop that you got all your ducks in a row there. And then Kylo Ren Shuttle, it's a 2 title for, obviously we know what ship it goes on. At the start or at the end of the combat phase, choose an unstressed enemy ship at 1 to 2. Its owner must assign a stress token to it or assign a stress token to another ship at range 1 to 2 of you that player controls. So it's just a way to deal out stress, which it doesn't have as many restrictions as you would think. So it's kind of cool there in that regard. So I'm pretty dope. I like it. I like it all around. I think it's going to be a fan favorite. Let's take a look at some pilots. We got Kylo Ren himself, the man, the myth, the legend, or whiny millennial, depending on how you look at it, I suppose. Depending on what website you're reading. So you got Kylo and his 6 pilot skill, 4 attacks, 1 agility, which is pretty much standard for most shuttles, but 6 and 6. He's got a lot of ass right there. 2 crew, 2 techs, advanced sensors or sensor upgrade slot, and an EPT. Okay, well, seems pretty good to me. Seems pretty well rounded. I am definitely feeling that. Of course, at 34 points, I feel like you can do some stuff there with it. And then we got Major Stridon. I don't know how to say that one right there. Stridon. Regardless, for the purpose of your actions and upgrade cards, you may treat friendly ships at 2 to 3 as being at range 1. So that definitely comes in handy for a lot of things out there. Not so sure any of which offensive abilities would come into play, but definitely some helper abilities here. Now again, 2 crew, 2 tech, only 1 sensor slot, no EPT, 6 and 6 again for a few points less. Then we got Lieutenant Dormits. During setup, friendly ships may be placed anywhere in the play area at range 1 to 2 of you, so that allows you to get the jump and have your stuff a little bit further out, which might be kind of advantageous in certain cases, definitely. Star Carrier based pilot is just your generic for 30 points. That might be your new Emperor Shuttle, Pope Mobile kind of type thing. I don't know. Seems like it might be okay at 30 points. It might be squeezable. It might not be. It's really hard to say. So there is the Epsilon class new action icon, the coordinates. So what that does is choose another friendly ship at range 1 to 2. The chosen ship may immediately perform 1 free action. So this basically spits out a free action as an action. So you can perform it instead of a focus, instead of a target lock. You can just be like, I'm going to coordinate, and you give your action to somebody else, which, at a lower pilot skill could be advantageous for you to get them out of harm's way or maneuver them into an attack run, so to speak. So very cool stuff there. Coming down the pipe, of course, these are all available now. This particular one is $40 from FFG, and these two expansions are only a mere $20. You can find them at Fantasy Flight Games' website and your friendly local game store retailer near you. Make sure you check them out, and happy flying.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.